Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I am your host, Dennis Matholkas, and this is Swamp Thing, Season 1, Episode 5, Drive All Night, with surprisingly little driving going on inside of it. Before I start everything, I just want to say thank you. There's a bunch of people that subscribed fairly recently. Thank you to all the new subscribers and welcome. Hopefully, you guys, have a good time, like what you're seeing. Come on by on Saturdays tomorrow for Saturday morning blast off. That's actually kind of the free form uh, program where pretty much anything goes, if you will, genre wise. And it's a lot of fun. So come on by. Hey, Viking Bitch. Hey, Pen Farm Girl, Mr. Roboto, Joe. How's it going? So, yeah, come on by and welcome again. Thank you so much for joining up. Hopefully, you have a lot of fun, with some stuff here and join in on the chat, also in the comment sections too of the videos. And speaking of which, if you still haven't signed up, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you're still on the fence, you're going to see at the very end of this video, there's going to be a video up here that takes a video from my vast video library based on everything you've watched, uses the algorithms of everything you've watched to pick that video. And if you like what you see there, then you can hit the subscribe button and the like button as well. So there we go. Thank you very much. I got all that stuff out of the way. Oh, and also if you want to see when I'm going to be on live again next, you can go to suspendedfanimation.com. That's where I've got that up. And also on Facebook, I mirror that same. I only do it for the week because things change during the week, that kind of thing. So you can see it there. So before we start, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you haven't seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back, and this will be a video you can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch. Exactly. Subscribe. Subscribe, right? Subscribe. I wonder how the subtitles are going to look like on that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. I look at the subtitle. I always put the subtitles in for this, and I have to go in and edit some of them sometimes, and it's pretty damn funny. Of the shit that they can never get my name right either. It usually comes out just something really fucking weird, but it's funny. So yeah, this story is really picking up, Viking Bitch. It's kind of weird they canceled it. So the reason why I was a little bit late tonight, actually a lot late, I was half an hour late, is because this episode was so damn dense with all kinds of information that I had to keep pausing to write some stuff down. Because if I didn't, I was going to lose my place, quite honestly. There was so much stuff that was being thrown out at us here. And I didn't want to lose it, because coming back to it is, I already have a pain enough in, in the ass as it is, trying to keep things straight in the timeline of the episode as I'm, recapping it, reviewing it, that kind of stuff. And it, it helps to actually have my notes in order. So there we go. So we start off, of course, with Maria talking on the phone to Avery, and she's basically, thanking him for bringing Susie into her life and all that stuff. And, he's really glad about it. And she's seeing the chandelier move up on the ceiling, and she goes, oh, wait a minute. I think Susie's awake. I might have to go and check on her. And he's like, okay, that's great. And, I'll talk to you later. Bye. He hangs up. We don't know where he is. And then we see his phone ringing, and we see it's Liz giving him a call, which, of course, he doesn't answer. And we find out he's in a motel room with Lucia. And they're screwing around, basically, is what's going on. She's getting ready to get undressed. And, of course, he's getting undressed as well. So Maria checks in on Susie, and Susie looks like she's fucking petrified, like pee in the bed kind of thing. And she says the girl from the pictures downstairs has been standing over her bed and looks very angry. And Maria's like, no, that can't be, that's, she's gone kind of thing. She goes, yeah, it's just a bad dream. Tell you what, I'll get you a warm blanket. Everything will be good. I'm just going out in the hallway. She walks out in the hall to go get a blanket for her, comes back, and Susie's gone. But there's water pouring out from underneath the door of the bathroom. And when she opens it up, we see the bathtub filled with water with some scummy water in there. And we see underneath the water is Shauna, the waterlogged Shauna. And Shauna is back from the dead. She comes up and basically says she's not going to be replaced by Susie. And Maria says, that's not the case. I love you. I love you so much. You don't know how much I love you. And she's hugging her. And we see that the person that she's hugging is actually Susie, who has now been possessed by Shauna. Dun dun dun. Yeah. Swampy in the meantime is out, wandering around the swamp like he is. He kind of reminds me of a stoner who got really stoned out in the swamp and has been wandering around and doesn't know where he is. Sorry, I had a fly that I guess came in here. Pepper hasn't been doing her job. And he's checking out a tree and remembers that he put this tag on this tree, and he's remembering back to when the tags turn yellow. It means that it's a mutagenic property that's out there. For those of you who don't know what mutagenic property is, it means that it alters DNA cells. That's what that stuff is. So pretty bad shit. You really don't want that kind of stuff out in the environment. We have naturally occurring stuff that happens like that, but yeah, there we go. And when the tag turns yellow, it means it's mutagenic. And he kind of throws it. We come back to him as Swamp Thing. He kind of throws it down in disgust. And he's wandering through, and he touches his face, and he goes to touch the water to kind of look in the water to see what his face has become. Because one of the things he was remembering is that he thought this was the beginning of something good that was going to happen. And of course it wasn't. It turned him into Swamp Thing. So he touches the swamp, or touches the water, and a body pops up, which freaks him out. He kind of goes back, and tendrils come out and wrap around his legs, wrap around his arms, and hold him there. And we see more bodies all around him. And he's screaming that he doesn't want to see this and for it to stop. And then all the bodies have disappeared and the tendrils come off of him. Yeah. And he hears this singing coming from a radio from this guy in a boat that's coming in. It's kind of a sloppy looking guy. And he pulls up next to him and says, "Hey, the locals tell me that, how's the fishing around here?" He goes, "I heard the locals say that the catfish just kind of jump right into your boat." And Swamp Thing tells him to leave. And he goes, "Well, no, I think I'm good. I'm okay." And he says, "You're not afraid of me?" And he goes, "I don't know. Should I be?" And he goes, "Of what I was? No, but what I've become, possibly." Yeah, it was a Kevin Smith clone. Actually, it looked more like Giamatti. Paul Giamatti is who it looked like. Only a very, very young Paul Giamatti with more hair. To me, anyway. And he's saying some cryptic things to him. He tells them that when the wind blows just right, the swamp tells its secrets. And he goes on about transitions in life, how they're never easy, going from child to adult, or child to teenager, teenager to adult, all that kind of stuff, and how they're never easy. Basically, kind of what Alec has already gone through. And then Alec asks who he is, and we cut to Cassidy. And Cassidy jumping in his car, hauling ass, and going for the border of Morai. And he chickens out at the last minute and stops his car, slams on the brakes, and he's yelling up at the sky, basically, "I'm done, right? Everything's been fulfilled. Abby's here. I saved her, right?" And he can hear whispering as he keeps reaching out towards the defining line of the town. And when he puts his hand through, his hand bursts into flames, his blue flame. And he's pissed. He puts it out, and he says, "All I want to do is go back to LA. All I wanted was to become famous. I should have never made that deal." And then he says, "And when I get back to LA," he goes, "I'm going to sell you," is what he says. And he's talking into the trunk. And we see inside the trunk is the mask for the Blue Devil. It looks like a very articulate mask and all that kind of stuff. And as he turns from the trunk, we see the eyes in the mask glow blue. And hopefully we get the Blue Devil at some point before this, series ends, because I want to see the Blue Devil, quite honestly. It made me interested to see what the Blue Devil in a live action version would look like. So it'd be kind of cool. I don't even think Ian's really stealing the show. It's because he's mysterious and we don't know what his character is at the moment. If you read comics, you know who the Blue Devil is, you know a little bit more about it. But if you're just watching the show and you don't know anything about these comics, he's so mysterious now at this point that you don't know what, and that's what's making it good, is because you don't know anything about this character. Once everything is revealed, once you look behind the curtain, everything is gone at that point. So Uh, we see Lucia and Avery. They're, she's on top of him, just kind of grinding away, and he's wondering where the hell all that energy came from. And she says, "Well, ever since what happened, at the crawfish thing, she's has some renewed energy and all that kind of stuff." And he's like, "Well, I want to see more of that." And she, of course, gets up out of bed and says, "Nope, I got to get going to work." And all our meetings have to be really brief. And he sees that she has the ring on still, this ring around her neck, and he goes, "Oh, you still have the ring I gave you?" And she goes, "Yeah." And we get the idea that what happened is that he was going to marry Lucia at one point, and Maria came into town with the family money, and as he put it, um, it was a line that was not supposed to be crossed when he talks about Maria. So she was a mark basically to get money, and he ended up marrying her in order to marry into the family for the money. And Lucia was the one that he really loved and wanted to marry at this point. That's everything I'm getting at this. And yes, Beals is actually pretty damn good in this. I'm liking her in this quite a bit. Some previous stuff that she's been in, in the last couple of years hasn't been really like all that great. This actually is not bad. She's doing a pretty good job with this role. So her phone rings, and of course, we see it's Liz again. And she goes, Liz has, keeps leaving her messages. And she said that she's found pieces of Alex's boat that had buckshot in it, and that she's going to have to start, she's pushing for an investigation, and that she's going to have to look into it before Liz starts, poking her nose into it. And he says, "Well, what do you think about it?" And she's like, "Well, I basically I need to start looking into this before she does, to kind of cut this off at this point." Yeah, I don't know how she could sleep with Avery as well. Avery's kind of scummy, but yeah, we'll get to that. He kind of starts getting scummier and scummier too as we go through this episode. So Abby is in the lab. She's looking through the microscope, and we see the same cells dividing again, the animal, vegetable, mineral cells. And she's talking into her she's voice recording her observations of what this is, and she's just about to kind of admit that maybe there's something supernatural involved. When Woodrow's at the door and being the asshole that he is, he kind of goes, "Really, are you going to jump to that kind of conclusion that it's supernatural?" And kind of belittles her about it. And then he says, "Hey, can I take a stab at this a little bit?" And she goes, "Nope, it's CDC property now. You can't do anything with it. You can't slap your name on it." And he goes, "This could actually cure a lot of people. This could cure a lot of ailments." And she says, "Nope, sorry, nothing you can do about it." And then he asks her if this discovery has anything to do with Alec Holland. And since he was the only scientist in he says, "I use that term." Uh, he didn't say loosely, but I forget how he actually said it. You know, he was a very big asshole about it. Let's just put it that way. And he says he was the only scientist in the area before he disappeared. He more than likely came across this at some point in time. And so he asks her again before she can answer it. Susie calls her on the phone and saves her bacon. Yeah. Yeah, Woodrow is a real big asshole, Viking bitch, which actually plays into the character if he becomes who I think he becomes. So, yeah. Avery, in the meantime, is over at Delroy's early in the morning, and he's cutting open a turtle to make some turtle soup. And Delroy asks him what the hell he's doing, and he's like, he's making turtle soup. I had a powerful hunger for it. And he goes, "Oh, and also I'm here to talk to you. See, I keep getting phone calls from your daughter, Liz, who's trying to dig up dirt on me. And I don't want that. I want you to pass along a message to her." And Delroy's just kind of standing there with his arms crossed when Liz comes in. And Liz is like, "Yeah, Dad, you can leave. The carpenter's here to take care of the holes of you blowing apart the fucking front of the store. So why don't you go take care of that? I'll take care of this." And she asks him, "Where's your banker at?" And he goes, "Oh, I think he got exhausted and went on vacation." She goes, "Oh, that's kind of convenient. Same time that Alec Holland disappeared." And he snaps at her and says, basically tells her to leave him alone. And that as he's walking out the door there, um, he tells her to leave her alone. And she's like, "You know what? There's not, it used to be a time when any Sunderland could snap their fingers and get what they wanted. That time is over with now." Yeah. And yeah, Liz is actually, pretty damn good in this episode as well. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff that happened in this episode that pushed a lot of the characters forward, that pushed the story forward. And it's a shame that we only get 10 episodes one and that we get no more seasons of this afterwards. Fuck you, DC Universe and AT&T and all that stuff who, canceled it. You didn't need to. This is actually really good. This is what happens when you pump money into this damn thing, you know? So, yeah. We see Woodrow go over to Alex Swamp Lab and, with his guide, and they go up inside and they see that it's been broken to hell because that was where Alec had his run-in with the reanimated guy who, stabbed the other cop and killed him, of course. And Woodrow's looking around and he's like, I wonder if he found anything up here. And he starts seeing where Swamp Thing had shed some of his cells or some of his plant material on the ground. He picks it up and takes a look at it through the microscope and sees the exact same thing and is really kind of jazzed about it at this point. So, and then he realizes that it's part of a larger organism. Yes, that's what he finally realizes. So Swampy, in the meantime, follows the strange frumpy dude into another place in the swamp and asks who he is again. And he doesn't answer again, but says that, that, the swamp has seen things. Some of these trees have lived 1,000 years or thousands of years, and they've seen a lot of things. And he goes, you've probably seen a lot of things too since you've been here. And Swampy, of course, tells him that, I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of dead people or ghosts. And the guy says, oh, well, as he puts it, the trees have memories and the green that connects them all together. And Alec asks him, what's the green? So we actually are going through the Alan Moore version of this, where we get the green involved. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's going to be very, very interesting if they're going this route. And he basically tells Alec that the trees are warning him from danger from the past returning for him or someone that he knows. And he puts his hand, and Alec's like, what do you mean by this? And he puts his hand on the tree, and Alec puts his hand on the tree, and Alec sees a teenage Abby out in the water, swimming around, screaming. And as he reaches out for her, he cuts his connection to the tree and doesn't see what happened from there. Yeah, he can see the past and also what's happening all around him. That's what the green is that he's connected to the earth, essentially. It's a very trippy thing that happens. That's all I can say. So Abby, in the meantime, goes over to the Sunderlands to talk to Susie, and she meets Maria at the door and tells her, I don't want to have a fight with you. I'm just here because Susie called. And of course, Maria's pissed that Susie called her in the first place and says, well, she's right upstairs. And you can hear Susie humming, and what she's humming is Belinda's Carlisle's Heaven on Earth song, and that was supposed to be Abby and Shauna's song that they used to listen to all the time when they were in the car. And Abby actually has a little flashback to them on the bridge. That was the song that was playing. And she goes upstairs and meets Susie and says, how you doing, Susie? And she goes, oh, you came. She goes, I didn't think you would come. And as she puts it, that Abby isn't there for the people who need her most. And Abby says, well, I'm sorry you feel that way about me. Can I examine you? And so she does. As she's examining her, she tells Susie to hold her breath and then to exhale. And Susie doesn't. She goes, exhale. Come on, Susie, exhale. And Susie just kind of smiles at her, and she knows something weird is going on. And finally, we know that she's possessed by Shauna anyway at this point. With all her snarky comments and everything, Abby asks her where she heard the song that she was humming. And Susie tells her, of course, it was their favorite song they used to drive around in the car with the windows down, all that kind of stuff. And Susie calls her YB. And she goes, wait a minute, what did you call me? She goes, that's your name. You don't remember? It used to be our names backwards. You were YB and I was A Shauna or A Sean, is what Abby corrects, finishes off with her. And she goes, yeah, I don't believe you did. Maria put you up to this. And she goes, I'm Shauna. I'm back. And we hear, Abby wants proof, of course. The door slams behind her. We see a waterlogged Shauna in front of her. And then the window shades roll up, which I thought was actually a cool effect. And you see outside the window, Shauna drowning in the water and all that stuff. And all the lights kind of, blow out and everything like that. And she goes, you're not Shauna. Shauna's dead. And she just walks out. And I'm like, wow, that was kind of ballsy. You just kind of walk right out in the ghost. I've never seen that in a horror movie before. The ghost confronts you and you're like, yeah, fuck you, you're dead. And you just walk out. And I got to try that next time. If I ever run into a ghost, like, yeah, fuck you, you're dead. She goes downstairs and confronts Maria and says, what did you do to that kid? Did you put her up to all of this? And Maria is trying to convince her that, Shauna is back from the dead, and yeah, basically she says that Madame Xanadu brought her back for her. And then she gets pissed off at Abby and says, tells her to leave or she's going to call the cops. Sometimes I do, Mr. Roboto. The Ghosts of Christmas Past, that kind of thing. Actually, it's just usually gas that I have, but that's Ghost all in itself. So Susie is upstairs, of course, and tells Maria, she goes, I don't feel well. She goes, I can't keep this form forever. I can't keep Susie locked inside. You have to come to the water and be with me forever, is what she tells Maria. Maria's like, okay, sure, why not? And Susie gets a little creepy smile on her face. In the meantime, Abby's outside calling Child Protective Services and gets a voicemail because that's what Child Protective Services does. And Madame Xanadu happens to be running up to, the Sunderland mansion to find Abby to tell her that, yes, she did bring Shauna back from the dead and that Susie's in danger. And so is Maria. And just then we see them drive off, Susie and Maria in the car going towards the swamp. So, yeah. Lucia, in the meantime, goes over to Remy Dubois' shack to question him about Alec because he was the only one that was out there on the docks. The harbor master tells him that he was the only other person out there on the docks the night that Alec disappeared. Or the explosion, the boat exploded and all that kind of stuff. And what did he see? And Remy's out there cooking rat because he's poor. And that's what he's doing, is cooking rat out in the open. And tells her, yeah, he goes, I saw something out there. He goes, I saw your son out there, Matt. That was the only other person I saw out there. And he grabs a shotgun and points it at her because, of course, he doesn't want her shooting him. And says, yeah, that was a big fucking rat out there, too, that he was cooking. And she goes, well, what do you want? He goes, I want $50,000 and I'll keep quiet. He goes, I think you can pull that together on a cop's salary kind of thing. And she goes, all right, just calm down. We can talk about this kind of thing. And as he puts down his shotgun, of course, she pulls out her gun and just blasts him. And he's still alive. He's laying there. And she goes, don't you ever threaten my son. And then holds up a newspaper to block the spray of blood as she shoots him in the head. I was like, wow, that's fucking cold-blooded. And it looks like someone's done this before. That was my first thing I thought of, is she's done this before. She's been covering for Matt before for something. So obviously something's going on with Matt at this point. And of course she calls it into the station. Yeah. 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 Cause I mean, I'm sorry. That is not something that you just all of a sudden do random, if you're going to kill somebody, even a cop that may have shot people before, which honestly, they don't pull their guns all that often, if at all. Some people go all their careers without pulling that. But yeah, she pulled up a fucking newspaper to block that spray. That's something she's done before. Yeah. Oof. That's all I can say. And yeah, she calls it into the station. In the meantime, Abby and Madame Xanadu are driving over to the swamp to go and head off Maria and Susie. And Madame Xanadu says, you know what? I knew better about it. But I did it anyway. I was trying to help Maria. I shouldn't have brought back Shauna. And Abby's still in denial, going, you didn't bring back. Are you telling me you brought Shauna back from the dead? You didn't bring Shauna back from the dead. And yeah, she goes, no, I did. In the meantime, We see and then also, we also find out that Abby is still pissed off at Madame Xanadu because Madame Xanadu was the one that was giving her mom advice on her cancer and how to treat it spiritually instead of actually seeking medical help. So that was the other little bit of information that we got too. It was thrown out there fairly quickly, and I was like, well, shit, man. We're getting a lot of information from all these characters all at once in this one episode. There was a lot of stuff going on. Shauna Susie, as I called her, little Susie, with Shauna inside of her, brings Maria over to the water and tells Maria to come into the water with me. And we see Shauna standing outside in the water as well and beckoning her to come in. And Maria's like, I'm scared. She goes, no, don't you want to be with me forever? Okay, sure. Why not? So she goes wandering out into the water. And just as she hits the water and starts going out there, we see Susie collapse because Shauna has left her. The spirit of Shauna has left her. The power of Christ compels you. She needed an old priest and a young priest at that point. So Susie gets up and makes a beeline going back up to the road and finds Abby and tells her what's going on. She goes, I think that dead girl is trying to drag Maria, Mrs. Sunderland, into the swamp. And so, of course, Abby goes running down there and goes wading into the water with the crazy woman, telling her, you know what, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I killed your daughter. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. And Maria turns on her and goes, you're sorry. Oh, and that's going to make everything all right? You know what's going to make everything all right? If you die. And she basically tries to drown her. And I'm like, yeah, you never wander into the water with a crazy fucking person. Yeah, you try and negotiate with them on the shore. I'm sorry. It's just not something you want to do. So Abby is able to kick her off. And just as Maria has her back turned to where Shauna, the waterlogged Shauna, was, she pops up and grabs Maria and drags her underwater. And Abby's freaking out, trying to look for her, looking underwater, trying to find out where she is. And we see, probably like about a good 20 yards away, Swampy comes up out of the water with Maria in his arms and brings her to shore. And she's still alive. And they get the water out of her mouth. And she's like, how did you find me? And he says, I saw that you were here and I saw you were in pain. And she goes, that was 14 years ago. How could you feel that? And he puts his hand on the tree, and the tree, has little tendrils that come out to him. And he holds out his hand and grabs her hand. And she's transported back to that day 14 years ago when Shauna died. And we see them out on the bridge early in the morning. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I guess it used to be a ritual that kids would jump off the bridge there into the water. And they wanted to do it before they graduated, or at least Shauna wanted to do it. Abby did not. And Shauna's standing on top of the railing, and Abby goes, okay, then you first, and pushes her off into the water. Of course, Shauna does not resurface. So Abby jumps into the water trying to save her, is freaking out, trying to find her, can't find her. That's, what we saw. Same thing going on with Maria. Then all of a sudden Shauna pops up and is laughing. It was all a joke. Then all of a sudden something grabs Shauna and kind of drags her under a little bit. She's like, oh my God. And Abby's like, yeah, cut it the fuck out. It wasn't funny the first time around. And she goes, no, something actually really did grab me. And then something grabs her, and Abby goes under looking for her and sees Shauna getting pulled away and pulled down, down, and down. And that's where she comes out of it. And she's like, has that deep breath and everything. And, Swampy basically tells her, that it wasn't your fault. Something was there in the swamp that day. And Abby asks, well, what was it? What was important about that day? What was so different about that day? And, of course, he doesn't have an answer for that at that point. So, just then we have Matt show up, and he's yelling out for her, and he runs down and finds her and Maria, and he puts a jacket around Abby as Swampy's standing off to the side, hiding. And he sees when Matt touches her, he growls. So obviously that's the other thing too, is that Swamp Thing knows people's aura, I guess you can say, if they're good or if they're evil. And right now he knows that Matt is evil. There you go. He's been growling at Matt the entire time. Every time he sees Matt, and it's not just because he's touching Abby, it's because Matt is evil, and Matt has some evil tendencies, like killing Alec. He probably remembers, being blasted by this guy. Yeah. Yes, Swampy knows. Swampy knows best. That's going to be the new title of the new sequel that they have. It's going to be called Swampy Knows Best. And he's going to smoke a pipe, and he's going to have like a little fedora and all that kind of stuff. So in the meantime, we go back to Delroy's, and Liz is having a drink, and Cassidy, Daniel Cassidy is pretty much 3 sheets to the wind now at this point, and he wants to know why Liz stays in this town. He's like, "What? Do you love it that much?" And she tells him her life story in like a nutshell. Is that what? I went to the university, got a degree in journalism, went to New York, worked there for a while, and I realized all I was doing was correcting copy. After years and years. She goes, then Dad had some heart problems, and I moved back. And she goes, I love it here. And he kind of gets a little new perspective, for himself anyway. And in the meantime, she decides to leave. She's going to leave and gets up and tells her dad, I'll be back in the morning. And she goes out to her car, and her tires are slashed, and there's a knife in one of her tires. And as she's just kind of looking, what the fuck now kind of thing, 2 guys with ski masks show up and ask her if her name is Liz. She's like, Liz? No, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, yeah, you've been poking your nose and asking too many questions about things. And she goes, you know what? You should get Avery Sutherland. She grabs the tire iron out of one of the guy's hands, beats the fuck out of him down to the ground, tells the other guy that maybe Avery should hire some more competent people. Daniel comes running out at this point. He's drunk, of course, too, and pushes the guy aside, the one guy who's still standing, and asks her if she's okay. And then he gets brained for his efforts. He gets brained with a tire iron in the back of the head and goes down in a pool of blood. And those guys take off because they think they've killed him at that point. So Avery, in the meantime, arrives at the hospital. He's looking for Maria because he knows that, she almost died. And who meets him there but Woodrow? Woodrow's like, no, I got to talk to you before you go in there. And Avery, being the dick that he is, like, okay, what do you got for me? And Woodrow tells him, he goes, that sample is from a living creature that we've got. It actually has both animal and plant parts to it. And he wants to hunt it. He goes, I want it on my table. He goes, I want it alive, and I want to study it and open it up on the table. And Avery gives Woodrow the name of a hunter to go and find it. And as he's scribbling down the name and gives it to Woodrow, he can see through the window at Maria laying in her hospital bed. And I think Maria might be possessed by whatever it was that grabbed Shauna at this point, because it's not the Maria. I don't believe we have Maria back in Maria's body at this point. So, like I said, there was a lot of stuff that happened here. A lot of stuff. We finally found out what the fuck was going on with Abby. I mean, sure, it's episode 5. We're halfway through the season. So, the only season that we're going to get out of this thing. We finally found out what Abby did with Shauna, which was nothing. Shauna got dragged away by the swamp. So is LC the tick from the tick? No, he's not. And Matt is obviously might have. I'm pretty sure he killed Alec at that point, or shot Alec anyway. And then of course we know that Lucia has killed before and protecting Matt at some point in time, or just in general, because she knows way too much about how to cover up and not get blood on herself when it happens. And then Avery's just a dick. I mean, complete and total dick. And now we found out that he really did just marry for money, and that Maria was more than likely just a mark, that he took the grift a little too far, shall we say. So yeah. And I mean, that's a lot of stuff that we've got. You know what? And then of course we have oh god, now I just blanked on it. Blue Devil as well. So with what's going on with Daniel Cassidy, and Daniel Cassidy's in the hospital, so we'll find out, or maybe, who knows? We'll see what happens to Daniel in the next episode. That's the one thing they don't give us, is they don't give us trailers for next week until about the middle of the week. So who's the bigger dick, Sunderland or Woodrow? Pen Farm Girl, let's see. Woodrow, because Woodrow is just fucking arrogant. Sunderland's just, a backwoods hick kind of thing that has money. I should take that back. He has borrowed money. He doesn't even have borrowed money. He has stolen money. There we go. Stolen money. And also he's, even though that Sunderland is cheating on his wife, he never really loved her in the first place. She was just a mark, quite honestly. So yeah, okay, maybe Sunderland is the bigger dick. There we go. Yeah. Sunderland is probably the bigger dick then, because Woodrow just wants to do it. He wants to do it for science and to save his wife. So that actually is a little more noble, I guess you could say, because he wants to save his wife. He's doing it for, and also he wants to do it for the recognition as well. But yeah, Avery's just a fucking dick. Viking Mitch says Avery was told his wife just about died. But wait, let me talk to Woodrow just first. Yeah. Yeah, there's that part too. Like, no, I gotta go and talk to her. I can see her through the window. But wait, here's the name of a good hunter. And you also, here's a good recipe for ratatouille. Yeah. Avery should have checked on his money. I mean, wife right away. Yeah, really, he should have. Because quite honestly, she's going to be pretty. But again, like I said, Maria is not Maria any longer. It's whatever dragged Shauna into the swamp. Whatever that evil was, as the mystery man said, something old has returned. Something from the past has returned. And that's what this is. Even Madame Xanadu, if you remember, she told Maria something evil is coming. Something from the past is what she said. The past returns. So yes, we've heard this now twice, that the past has returned, and it's returned through Maria, I believe. That's why Shauna wanted her to go into the swamp, was so that it could pass on into Maria. It needed a live body, and Susie wasn't strong enough because she was too young. And also Susie was infected by the green flu, so I think Susie is actually part of the green now as well. There we go. See, that's the reason why I do these recaps, so I can work through this stuff with you guys as well, and I can come up with some of these theories about what the fuck's going on. Everyone goes, your recaps are too fucking long-winded. Yeah, they are. They really are, but that's how I work through things. It's a long-winded process, but it gets results, quite honestly. Woodrow is kind of a sociopath. Sunderland is a total jerk. I would say both are sociopaths, Penn Farm Girl. Just Sunderland is better at putting a human face on it. Woodrow just does not care. Woodrow, he doesn't have the niceties of the sociopath that he is. Or Sunderland is much more creepy because he can hide it. Viking Bitch says, this is why we talk about Legion. You've got to process it. Exactly. I don't know if she's built up an immunity, Joe Greer. I think now that, so her also, I'm blanking on Abby's friend who was in the CDC, who also, basically all those people who got the green flu, even though they don't realize it, they are all part of the green. It's just since Susie is younger and her mind is more open, she can actually connect to the green. That's why she knows who Alec is. That's why she heard his call, and why she knows that he's in pain. She feels all of that through the green because everything is connected, as this mystery man has said. Penn Farm Girl says, did you see the article, The Comic Book Roots of Swamp Thing, Episode 4, Darkness on the Edge of Town? I did not. I talked about some of the points taken right from the comics. Yeah. So that's what they were doing. They were actually going straight from Alan Moore and now I'm blanking on the other person who they're doing a blend of two different versions of the comic. And I'm okay with that, quite honestly. It's the weirder version of the comic. That is what you want. You want that kind of, that's what this is. Swamp Thing is supposed to be supernatural. That's what's good about it. It's a horror show, is really what it is. That's why it was a Vertigo title. It was part of DC as well, but it's a Vertigo title. Was a Vertigo title, I should say. Joe, I love the recaps on the Venture Brothers. So many jokes and references. Yeah, the Venture Brothers is awesome. It really is. I'll be continuing that when that happens in 2021. Is that one? Yeah, there's some speculation as to when. So for Venture Brothers, it's just the two guys writing the scripts, and of course, they send all the animation out overseas, and then they edit everything. That's the reason why it takes 2 years for a season to come out. So I will try and make that Adult Swim panel. That Adult Swim panel is murder to get into, quite honestly. They always have it in a small room. Not a small room, but they have it in a smaller room than what it should be in. It should be in ballroom 20 or hall H, quite honestly, because it can fill it. They're just afraid of it. And that's where they should all have the Adult Swim stuff, because that would fill it. I mean, the Rick and Morty people, Venture Brothers, Mike Tyson's Mysteries. There's a lot. It's all in one panel, and they don't split it up over the Comic-Con. They do it all at once, and it's like 2 hours long, but at the same time, it's a blast. It's actually a lot of fun. I've only been in it once. Yeah. Villain in a Can, now $99.99. Are you going to the HBO one? Are you talking about the Game of Thrones one, Joe Greer? Probably not. I mean, Game of Thrones is done. I don't want to really rehash any of that, to tell you the truth. I am going to the Boys one, the Amazon one that's going to happen. I'm going to try and get to that one, definitely. That's actually going to be across the way at the hotel. And that one's murder to get into as well. But I do have my ticket already to go and see the first 2 episodes of The Boys a couple days early. So it happens on the 17th, and The Boys gets released on the 26th on Amazon. Is there going to be anything about Swamp Thing or Doom Patrol at Con? I believe there is a DC Universe panel, Viking Bitch, for Doom Patrol, which means they are not going to want to take any kind of questions about Swamp Thing. Yeah. You know what, Joker? Joe, they rip off from each other all the time, quite honestly. So it's I stopped caring about who does what with whom, and yeah, this character is a ripoff of that character. That character, you can say that about Taskmaster, Cable, Deadpool, Deathstroke. All those 4 characters are pretty much the same character. Is really what it is. Well, Dennis, you get Mr. Misex and snacks. Yeah. Man. Well, at least they're talking about Doom Patrol, so maybe there'll be more. I'm hoping that there's going to be more Viking Bitch. That, again, besides Legion, that is one of my favorite shows. That is probably right up there with Legion, is Doom Patrol. I think Legion just kind of itches it out just by a little bit, but it's still there. But and Swamp Thing was good. I mean, this is a good series, and why they are not going on with it is beyond me. It really, really fucking sucks that they canceled this. But hey, what do I know? I'm just one of the fans. That's all it is. I got no say in any of this. Rule number 1: don't turn your back on the guy with the tire iron. Exactly, Viking Bitch. Jenny Greenteeth got her. I'm telling you to stay the fuck out of the water, people. Who's Jenny Greenteeth? Viking Bitch. I was going back and taking a look at some of the stuff that you had read previously there. Season 2 of what is coming, Mr. Roboto? They could have cut the budget for the next season and given us more. It's a good story. Yeah, they really could have. Again, I'm pretty sure that we're not going to see DC Universe past November, or past October for that matter, because November is when the Warner Brothers app goes into play, the Time Warner thing that they want to do with HBO Go and Cinemax and all that stuff kind of rolled into one. And I think they're just going to fold DC Universe into it. Hey, Raphael Simone. I don't know what you were saying there. So, and now it's gone. There we go. Sorry, I don't speak anything other than English. Jenny Greenteeth is a fairy creature that lures people into the water and eats them. Oh, okay. I did not know that. So, if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button just right down here. If you also want to see what I'm beyond again next, you can hit the bell as well. If you've already hit the bell, don't hit it again. It will unclick it. You can go into those bell settings and get as many or as little notifications as you want. You still have a 50-50 chance of actually getting notified by YouTube. It doesn't work all the time. Excuse me. If you want to see when I'm going to be on again, though, schedule wise, I have my schedule up at suspendedfanimation.com. I also have it up on Facebook on my Suspended Fanimation page. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, I also have a Patreon page. I don't have any tiers on the Patreon page as of yet. I probably will, I'm guessing after Comic-Con, more than likely. Depends on how much time I get to work on some stuff. So, and yes, tomorrow is Saturday Morning Blast Off, or SBO as everyone likes to call it. SBO, or Saturday Morning Blast Off, is where I talk about the genre news of the week and any other genre stuff you guys want to talk about. It's a lot of fun. It's free form. A lot of people in the chat, and it's come on back for that one. That's actually fun. Monday is Legion. Legion is awesome. Tuesdays I have off. Wednesday is Krypton with Tiny Lobo. I think the Tiny Lobo storyline might be over with, though. So it's just Krypton now from now on. And Thursday is the final season of iZombie. And of course, Friday, what you're here, the final and only season of Swamp Thing. See, Swamp Thing's actually angry back here. He's got his fist raised up. You damn AT&T people. Rafael Simon, we do not have the universe in Brazil. I have to wait for some website to make the content available online. Oh, that sucks. I'm wondering if you can do a VPN spoofer that, kind of like I've done to watch East Coast feeds. I still do it legally, still pay for it and all that stuff. It's just easier to get West Coast, East Coast feeds, all that kind of stuff. But I wonder if you could do that. If you can do a VPN spoofer and still pay for it and still be able to see it that way. Just say that you're in New York City or something. That's how some people do it. Season 2 of Doom Patrol was approved? Really? When did they say that? Mr. Roboto, I haven't even seen any of that information. Nothing popped up in my feed. But I'll check after I'm done here, and if I find something, I will post it. Yes, VPNs are nice, Joe Greer. That's one of the ways you can keep people from spying on you, and also from another channel. See, I don't put much stock into what other channels say, to tell you the truth, Mr. Roboto. I go by like reputable news sites. I'm sorry. I really do. Yeah, where I came from before, there was a lot of stock put into other sites, and a lot of that shit was wrong. A good 80% of it was wrong. 90% actually of it was wrong. And I got tired of actually going there. Because then you have to go back again and go, oh, nope, sorry, that was wrong. Nope, sorry, that was wrong. Yeah. If it's in production, that means it's happening. Yeah. So if you're still on the fence about joining up, you can see there's going to be a video up in this area that, again, like I said before, it will pluck a video from a vast video library just for you and pop it up there. And if you like what you see, you can hit the subscribe button and the like button. I know I've said that before, the subscribe button and the like button. Hit both, yeah. You can hit the dislike button. Just I ask you go down in the comment section, tell me what it is you don't like about the show. Give me some constructive criticism. Google News search. Yeah, I will do that at the end, Joe Greer, when I'm done here. It's kind of hard to do it when I'm on the air. I don't like being rude and doing that. I like to focus on what I'm working on. Thanks, Joe Greer. I'm glad you found it too. I'm actually, thank you everybody, by the way. I can't say it enough for coming in and joining me in the chat, and also just for subscribing and liking the videos, interacting with the videos, that kind of stuff. Like I said, the reason why I started this, I want to talk about this stuff as much as you guys. I'm a fan as much as you guys are. I like talking about this stuff and bouncing ideas off each other of where things are going with these episodes, where things are going with these shows. And, in lieu of going to a comic book store that I used to go to and hang out with people and talk about this, it's the next best thing. So you're in and out. Really? Am I really in and out for you, Mr. Roboto? That could be the reason. No, I'm actually good. I'm okay. So, yeah, exactly, Joker. It's not just hard to multitask, it also puts a little strain on the stream as well. So, I want to keep the stream up and running. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Thank you again for joining me. It was a lot of fun. Join me tomorrow for Saturday morning blast off, and I will see you then. And thank you if you made it all the way to the end of the video for watching all of this too. And thank you to all the new subscribers that have come in. I'm happy to have you aboard, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow in the chat. So good night, and don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may end up getting dragged into a swamp and possessed by the epitome of evil. Thanks, everyone. Good night.